Fear is a funny thing. For some people, it paralyzes them and controls them and it rules their life. And for other people, it's a great motivator. I think fear is an unbelievable motivator. If you've ever seen a mother lift a car off of a child, that's fear. That's a chemical reaction that's taking place in her body. That's an adrenaline rush that is causing her to have superhuman strength. And for me, I've utilized my fears in a lot of ways to help me succeed, because when I first started out, I was terrified of failing. And in business, that can be a really tricky thing because, like I said, it could either control you to the point where you are paralyzed and you do nothing, or your judgment becomes clouded and you start to make bad decisions, or you allow it to have the opposite effect on yourself, where you use it as a catalyst to become stronger and to become better. In business, you got to realize, first of all, you got to get used to unexpected things. You got to get used to volatility. You have to get used to setbacks and challenges, because ultimately that is what's going to separate you from the people who fail as entrepreneurs, is knowing how to deal with that stuff. So there's kind of an ironic twist to fear. And in my 3 years of being an entrepreneur on my own, this is what I've kind of figured out about it and how to utilize it and what I can pass on to you guys. So the first thing is, don't let fear control you. Realize that fear in the business world and in the self-employment world is completely natural and it's completely normal, and all of us deal with it at some point. The key is to first use it as a catalyst. Use it as a catalyst to think creatively. So use it as a way to look for more ideas. There's a famous biblical saying that goes, ask and you shall receive. So instead of focusing your thoughts on how bad your challenges are, how tough they are, why things aren't going your way, and focusing on all the negative, and as a result attracting all the negative, begin to ask yourself, how can I solve this problem? What way could I come up with to solve this problem? And if that's troubling you, then ask for help and begin to ask yourself, who could me solve this problem? And in return, how could I provide value to this person? And start thinking from a position of giving instead of constantly taking. And when you think about how you can help other people first, then when you need the answers to certain questions that you can't answer, you can then begin to think about how those people can help you, and you could ask for their help and they'll willingly help you. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to use your fear as a catalyst to take action. So remember, action makes everything else come to life. There's a great saying that goes, the best way to succeed in business is to be in business. And ultimately what that means is that sometimes you figure out the best solutions, the best marketing strategies. You figure out what really works the best when you're in the midst of doing something that you would have never figured out if you hadn't first taken action and started doing it. So you might start out marketing product A, and product A might be the thing that you want to sell. But then in the process of selling product A, you might figure out that there's a product B that would actually sell better, or maybe you figure out a way to sell product A better, or a way to deliver it better. But you would have never figured that out if you didn't initially take action and you weren't in business. So being a spectator, being on the sidelines, sitting back and thinking about what you should do without ever actually doing it is not going to help you. So use your fear, like I said, as a catalyst to think creatively, to ask for help when you need it, and then to take the action necessary to make things happen. Now, you start to succeed. It's important that you don't let your fear control you. So you can use it in the beginning, catalyst to get you moving, but don't live your life operating from a position of fear. Operate instead from a position of strength, courage, confidence, and focus on providing value. You know, as I said, when I started out in this big position of fear that I was wondering if I was going to be able to replace my income. I was wondering how long it was going to last. I was wondering if I could create more predictability in my business. And in the beginning, I utilized them in positive ways to really force me to take action, to create products, to create value, to work. I mean, there were days where I spent 12 or 15 hours just in front of my computer working on things. But then I actually got to a point where I started operating out of a place of fear. I was afraid that I wasn't rising to my full potential. I was afraid that I wasn't going to continue to make more money. I was afraid that I wasn't making as much money as I should have been making, even though I was doing great. But in my mind, I wasn't living up to my expectations. And it's good to set goals and have high expectations of yourself, but you can't drive yourself crazy if you're not achieving them. So instead of continuing to operate in this place of fear, I instead started to operate from a place of giving. And I started to think about how I could help more people, how I could help more partners of mine, how I could provide more value to my customers, and how I could provide more value to other people that are in businesses like I am, with no monetary thought in mind. In fact, everything that I share on The Rising Entrepreneur, there's no monetary incentive involved. It's strictly for me trying to help other people by sharing my experiences. And the funny thing is this, and then I'll wrap this video up. The moment that I did that, the moment that I stopped operating from a place of fear and kind of anxiety and desperation and focused more on giving, in 1 week, I got an opportunity that was not there, but just magically appeared, that put a couple of $1,000s in my pocket, and I got 4 separate communications from people reaching out to me, asking me how they could help me build my business, or how we could form a partnership of some sort that would drastically increase my revenues. So what you put out there is going to ultimately come back to you. Don't operate from a place of fear and desperation. Use it in the beginning to fuel you to take action, and use that survival mechanism in you to make it happen. But once you start to build something, stop operating from a place of fear, anxiety, and desperation. Instead, operate from a place of courage, strength, and confidence, and focus on providing value and helping other people, and it'll come back to you tenfold.